Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. These phones are the best phones we have ever created. And the reviews have been off the charts. It doesn't get any clearer or any better than this review from one of the industry's preeminent reviewers. Walt Mossberg said simply, it's the best smartphone on the market, that these iPhones have become the fastest selling iPhones in history. And the first 30 days, we have set a new high water mark for the most orders taken. And I don't mean by a little, by a lot, a whole lot. Now, the iPhones also get the benefit of another major announcement that we made last month. And of course, I'm talking about Apple Pay. And we have all of the nation's top banks supporting us. And just since last month announcing this, we have signed another 500 banks. They will be rolling out support later this year and early next year, showing the support and the enthusiasm around Apple Pay. And I'm excited to announce today that we are beginning on Monday. Of course, I'm talking about Apple Watch. It's the most personal device we've ever created. You can wear this powerful technology right on your wrist, and it's just as much about personal expression as it is about functionality. We've had great reception from the tech community, but we've also had great reception from the health and fitness community and by people who know a lot about fashion and style, even more than I do. I'm pleased to tell you today that we have developed WatchKit, where many other developers can join this party, and we are rolling out WatchKit next month in time for our developers to really do some fantastic work before we begin shipping Apple Watch. And this is made possible by the most advanced operating systems on the planet, iOS 8 and OS X Yosemite. Today, we've got some terrific updates on both of these, and to tell you all about them, I'd like to turn the stage over to Craig Federighi.
Which means they're getting the latest features and all the latest security protections. Now, the situation with other mobile platforms is somewhat different. So, when you look at Android, for instance, the vast majority of customers are running an operating system that's more than 2 years old. And if you focus just on KitKat, the latest release, after 313 days, they'd achieved just 25% penetration of their user base. iOS 8 has nearly doubled that in just 26 days. And our enterprise partner, IBM, has completely embraced Swift for their custom enterprise applications. In fact, they've said that Swift is incredibly interactive and intuitive, giving the thousands of developers on our teams the flexibility to create powerful apps that will transform enterprise mobility. Now let's turn our attention to iOS 8.1. Now, needless to say, when we put a major new operating system in the hands of hundreds of millions of users, we do get a little bit of feedback. And that takes us to improvements. So one of our major goals, of course, with iOS 8.1 is to address the top sources of customer feedback, and of course, to even bring back the beloved camera roll. But not just that. We've added support in 8.1 for Apple Pay on iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, and the public beta of iCloud Photo Library. So now everyone can have every photo you take on all of your devices. Now let's turn to OS X and Yosemite. So it was just this June that we publicly unveiled Yosemite to the world. But actually what makes both Yosemite and iOS 8 so special is the way that they work together. Now, working together is something we've been focused on for years now, and at the center of it is iCloud. And to drive that home, I'd like to give you a demo now. All right, well, so let's take a look at life in the world of continuity. Now, Tim has sent me a note here about doubling down on secrecy at Apple. We want to preserve the same kind of airtight security, or secrecy rather, that makes the announcements at an event like today a shocking revelation to all of you. So I've been tasked to create a new employee orientation presentation. And so I've been taking some photos around campus about some of our new secrecy measures. We're tightening things down a little bit. So we see we're redacting some things in the menu. We don't want any leaks there. We've upgraded the door to Johnny's lab. And I should favorite some of these photos because I think I'd like to incorporate them in my presentation. We're saving a step with the printer. It just goes straight into the shredder. But I actually have my iPad right here. And what's really great is with continuity, I can just pick up where I left off. You notice in the lower left-hand corner of the screen, my iPad's aware of what I've been doing on my phone. There's a little keynote icon. I can just swipe up, and it takes me right to that document in exactly the place where I was working. So it knows right where I am. Let me just pick up where I left off on the Mac. So we'll just look at the Mac display, and you notice the Mac is aware of what I've been doing. You see right down here, it says that I was using Safari on my iPad. I click, and it takes me right to that same page. It's just magical.
Hello?
Hi, Stephen. It's Craig from Apple.
I'm sorry. I don't recognize that name.
Oh, right. Hello, Red Delicious. This is Granny Smith. Over.
Is the squirrel in the basket?
Roger, Foxtrot, Thunderbolt, Retina, Swift, Lightning.
Okay, the line is secure. Glad you called, Craig.
I'm sure it's a great video, so I'd like to play this now. And what's really cool is I have an Apple TV. We can bring that up here, and we can see I can actually AirPlay from my Mac to my Apple TV, just like this, and project my presentation that way, so we can enjoy the presentation I've put together. And of course, to control the presentation, the best remote you have is the one you're wearing on your wrist. So I'll just bring up a remote here. And let's take a look at that video from Phil.
Joe, Ian. See you at lunch.
Now, there's much, much more to Yosemite than I can possibly cover today, but the good news is I don't have to, because now all of you can get access to Yosemite on the Mac App Store today. There's also 8.1, which has its support for Apple Pay, also iCloud Photo Library, and Continuity available for download this Monday. Finally, iWork, an update for OS X, also for iOS, also available today, and also free.
I'd like to now talk about iPad. In fact, we've sold over 225 million iPads around the world. The number of sales that they've done for the last 12 months, and compare that to iPad beats them all. And iPad Mini Retina has scored an unbelievable 100%. At the root of this is that we have over 675,000 apps in the App Store that have been custom designed to take advantage of the big, beautiful screen on iPad. So what do you do when you make the best tablet in the world? How do you make it better? You do this. This is the new iPad Air 2. It's unbelievably gorgeous, and look how thin it is. Can you even see it? It is so incredible. And to tell you more about it, I'd like to invite Phil Schiller up.
I'm so excited to be able to tell you about the incredible new iPad Air 2. It is the thinnest iPad we have ever made, just 6.1 millimeters thin. That's 18% thinner than their first iPad Air. It makes it the world's thinnest tablet. It is incredibly beautiful to hold all day long. The progress the team has made over just the last couple of years is unbelievable. Here's the original first iPad next to the new iPad Air 2. The new iPad Air 2 is so thin, you can stack two of them and still be thinner than the original iPad. And in every iPad, there's been a micro-thin layer of air between each of those layers. Well, not satisfied with that, the team has optically bonded those together, laminated them to make a single component with no air gap. And that reduces the internal reflection and makes a sharper image and a thinner display. It makes the graphics and the text feel like they sit right on top and you're touching them with your finger. It's really beautiful. In addition, we've now created an anti-reflective coating for this multi-touch surface. This has never been done in a tablet before. It reduces reflections by 56%, but there's so much more that makes iPad Air 2 great. And it starts with the brains inside it. A whole new generation chip, A8X. It is unbelievable. It's a second generation 64-bit architecture. It has 3 billion transistors. The iPad Air had an A7 with 1 billion transistors. 3 billion. It delivers up to 40% faster CPU performance for most of your apps. Some apps can achieve 2x performance in CPU. And the graphics are out of this world. 2.5 times faster what was already the industry-leading graphic performance. The team has worked to ensure that you have that great all-day battery life, 10 hours of battery, so you don't have to give up any of that. Along with the A8X, we have the new M8 motion coprocessor. This works to read data from the sensors like the accelerometer and gyroscope, and it instantly calibrates it so all your apps get incredibly accurate data. And there's also the new barometer for measuring relative elevation, and developers can take advantage of that too. But perhaps the feature people love the most about their iPads is the camera. The developers and the customers who use these apps are going to love the new iSight camera. It's a huge jump forward for iPad. It's a full new 8-megapixel iSight camera. For the first time with iPad, you can take large panoramas up to 43 megapixels. So you take your iPad on vacation, you can share your mountain scenery with all your friends. For the first time on iPad, you can take burst mode photos. So you're taking something that has high-speed action, you can grab it, just like this photo. For the first time with the iPad iSight camera, you can do time-lapse. So here's a time-lapse. It's taken in Venice. You maybe recognize it. Now, there's a group of boats that are going to start coming down together. See, there they are. That was the George Clooney wedding party that came by as we were shooting that. Still waiting for my invitation. This we took recently in Albuquerque at the Balloon Fiesta, that gathering there. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, it is. Also, for the first time on iPad, you can do slow-mo videos. Yeah, customers are going to love taking these. This is 120 frames per second at 720p. Pretty cool. A whole new FaceTime camera sensor. Has a larger 2.2 aperture. It lets in 80% more light. And combined with the 8X chip, you get improved face detection. For the first time, you can do burst selfies, which kids love to do. All this great new performance. Also faster connectivity, too. iPad Air 2 has faster Wi-Fi, 802.11ac with MIMO. That delivers 2.8 times faster performance, up to 866 megabit per second throughput. There's also faster LTE with more bands. It has up to 150 megabit per second. That's using carrier aggregation. And it's 20 LTE bands. That's more than any other tablet. So it connects at high LTE speeds on more networks around the world. But perhaps the most requested feature from customers is Touch ID. Now, like many of us, if you have Touch ID on your iPhone, you've probably picked up your iPad and put your finger on the home button only to see that it doesn't unlock because you didn't have Touch ID. We get used to it so quickly. Well, now with iPad Air 2, there is Touch ID, and it reads your fingerprint and quickly unlocks your iPad without having to enter your passcode. So if you want to get one, and if you're like me, you're just dying to, what will it cost? And it starts at $499. That's the price of the previous iPad Air for Wi-Fi with 16 gigs. $599 for 64 gigs. That's $100 less than before. And $699 for 128 gigs. Again, $100 less expensive than before. There are also cellular versions for $130 more. We have an update today for iPad mini as well. We call it iPad mini 3. It's the third generation of iPad mini. It comes in silver, space gray, and gold. And of course, it includes the new Touch ID feature as well. It will start at $399, $499, and $599, new memory configurations, and have cellular versions as well. And the original iPad mini, we're going to continue to sell it now at an all-new price of just $249. To get iPad mini 3 and iPad Air 2, you can start to order them tomorrow. We'll take pre-orders tomorrow, October 17th, and they'll begin to ship by the end of next week. Let's talk a little bit about what's happening with the Mac. We have the best lineup we've ever had. It's the 30th birthday of the Mac this year. For customers who want a higher level of performance, they love the MacBook Pro. It delivers all-day battery life, incredible performance, and best of all, that beautiful Retina display. Now, it's been really fun to watch the migration of the Retina display. It started with iPhone, moved into iPod Touch, and moved into iPad, and then into the Mac with the MacBook Pro. Well, today, we're really happy for you to see the continued march of this incredible Retina technology. It's a 27-inch display that has 5,120 pixels by 2,880 pixels. If you're really fast with math, you know that is an insane 14.7 million pixels on one display. It is the world's highest resolution display. There are 7 times more pixels on the Retina 5K display than on your HD TV. It took building a new backlight technology, an LED backlight, that's just as bright as previously, but consumes less power and is thinner. And all put together, this new display with 4 times the number of pixels of the previous version uses almost a third less energy. So if you look inside it, it has the fastest chips we've ever put in an iMac. It starts with a 3.5 gigahertz Intel quad-core i5, but upgradable to 4 gigahertz i7, the fastest ever in an iMac. The graphics have a Radeon R9 M290X, upgradable to a 295X. I/O is faster as well. It is now Thunderbolt 2, 20 megabit per second bandwidth per port. It's faster storage, standard terabyte Fusion drive. If you've ever tried to buy a high-end display, for example, a new 4K IPS TFT display, not quite as many pixels as the iMac, not quite as beautiful a display, but still not bad. You know that these range in the price of $3,000 or more. So that's why we're really excited to tell you the new iMac with Retina 5K display is going to cost $2499. It's got a 3.5 gigahertz i5 standard, Radeon R9 chip, 8 gigs of memory, and a terabyte Fusion drive. And it starts to ship today. We have one other small update today, and that's a computer that a lot of our customers love who are getting their very first Mac. It's called Mac Mini. Perhaps you've added one to your own home network, but we have a whole new version today. It's updated with faster processors, 4th generation Intel Core processors, faster graphics, Intel Iris and HD Graphics 5000, faster storage, PCIe-based flash storage, faster Wi-Fi, 802.11ac, and now has 2 Thunderbolt 2 ports, so it's packed with all the I/O you need in a very small design. And most important to us, it is not only compact, it is the world's most energy-efficient desktop computer, which is really great. A lot of customers choose this for their first Mac. Previously, Mac Mini started at $599. The new, faster, more capable Mac Mini starts at just $499. And it's shipping today as well. So that's our update for the Mac.
We've also have a station set up next door so that you can try out Apple Pay if you haven't tried it yet, and you can be among the first to buy something on it. Thanks very much for joining us.